to Shirel. Shirel is still a lead of about 25 seconds, and we're just looking down at the front of the race now. Shirel did go quite long on the foot slopes of the Giussalo, and I'm not too sure if he's going full gas at the moment. He's given probably 90%. He probably knows that two riders are coming across, but interestingly enough, that the fact that Française des Jeux, the French team, who are sitting 50 seconds behind the front of the race, have taken control of this race when Visconti was the only rider left, I think, for Nibali. And over the top of the last climb there, I noticed that Uran, one of the other favourites, only had one rider with them as well. So that's what it's all about. You get numbers, then you can chase. But if you don't have numbers, then you have to play a little bit of a lottery.
It is a little bit like that. Two Lotto teams here, of course. Lotto Jumbo with Kruijswijk, possibly a top 10 for him. Primož Roglic, who looked very, very handy earlier on, still within that group, but we'll see how he survives the last couple of climbs. The reason we were excited about Roglic is he went so well in the Worlds at the individual time trial with that horrible kicker at the end, which Tom Dumoulin took. Dumoulin himself not here, not well, Brian.
No, he was sick after Milano-Torino, so on Friday decided he was pulled out, and Laurens ten Dam took his place. So yeah, a difficult time. I would have loved to have seen him in this race, because I think he would have ridden well.
Ten Dam himself, by the way, clearly wasn't up for it. Late call, quite often it can be unexpected. He probably hit too many donuts. He went off the out of the race very, very early. Looked like he went pop on the second climb only of the day. This is Pello Bilbao looking at right now, grinding into this, and as you can see, not that far ahead of him is of course Philippe Gilbert. 41 seconds only, blanketing a group which includes many of the main favourites: Rigoberto Urán, Vincenzo Nibali, Thibaut Pinot, and what about someone like Tim Wellens from Lotto Soudal? He runner-up in the Bink Bank to Tom Dumoulin. Tough race it was this year, the Bink Bank, formerly the Eneco Tour. Also here for Lotto Soudal, and also in a good place.
Yeah, I think Wellens has got a chance today, but I think on the leg side here, this is where he has to try and stamp a little bit of authority on it. I'm not too sure he's maybe get the form to go with the likes of Nibali, maybe Pinot in the last kind of couple of climbs. So this is a good group that's starting to get organised now. Bilbao is there, and Bilbao will be thinking of Aru, the Italian champion, is slowly but surely coming to form. So now we have Shirel in front, 15 seconds behind, with Philippe Gilbert, Demarque of BMC in the red and the black, and just joining them from Astana is the Spanish rider Bilbao. So the teams are starting to play the cards. Française des Jeux, and still the team of well, I say the team of Nibali. I think he's only got Visconti with him, so that's the riders towards the front in the red. But it's all about Française des Jeux, and making a bold statement here by coming to the front and controlling things.
Well, there's three of them here, as you can see, and they are doing exactly that. They're controlling the pace today. They believe that their men, both Godot and Pinot, you see Godot in the middle here with Pinot close at hand. I think they've got the firepower to deliver, but then again, so I'm afraid for them have Cannondale and indeed Bahrain Marina. The team that aren't doing of the favourites much of the work, hiding well. Rigoberto Urán and Davide Villela of Cannondale Drapac. They're in this group though, beware. Bogamac, Michael Chirel decided he'd like some help. Philippe Gilbert, Alessandro De Marchi and Pello Bilbao were prepared to offer it to him. So we've got a proper quartet out front. This is a fighting force, Brian, and not unheard of for such a grouping to actually achieve greatness. We'll come to Brian for his thoughts in a few moments' time when we have our entire Eurosport family back together, shall we? Rafa Majka just having a brief chat with the car. He's being offered up something, and when you're offered something and you don't take it, it usually means it's, I don't know, a comfort. I would say, if I had to guess, he's not well, which doesn't bode well for Rafa Majka, I'm afraid, and Bora Hansgrohe. We have 4 up front. In fact, Michael Chirel decided that he wasn't going to try and do this all on his own, so the peloton is now the second group and only 23 seconds behind because of the driving force that is Francis de Jeux at the moment. This is a handy group, to say the very least, but then again, so is our break. Philippe Gilbert, Alessandro De Marchi of BMC and Pello Bilbao. Michael Chirel accepted their offer of some help, so here you go. Teed up for greatness. Let's see, shall we? Team Sunweb have managed to assemble themselves a trio as well. There's Vincenzo Nibali looking like he's chugging just a little bit. Then again, he looked like that the other day when he went on to do great things. And in fact, the last time we were here, he won in 2015 when the course mirrored as it does today. So we finish in Como. We're just coming down to Lakeside. News on De Plus, still a little bit sketchy. There are a quartet of medics dealing with him at the moment. There are reports that he managed not to fall the full 10 metres down that slope in one go. And so I'm hoping from those reports, if we're getting that through, that it's not as bad as we first feared. Let's just hope that that is the case. I didn't see who it was that actually stopped, but apparently it's reported that Dries de Venjens it was that stopped. He was the man on foot, concerned about his teammate De Plus, as we are as well. Yeah, we'll keep you informed when we find out more, but those are the sketchy reports that we get at the moment. 24.5 kilometres, it's the business end of the day, Brian. We've got 2 significant climbs, not in terms of altitude gain, but where they are placed within the finale. And when that ticker says 17 k's to go, all hell's going to break loose. In fact, before then, in about 3 k's, we start climbing. Yeah, 21 k's to go is the bottom of the penultimate climb. Godot and Mollard are riding in front of Pinot. 30 seconds is maybe not going to be enough for these 4 riders of Chirel, Gilbert, De Marchi and Bilbao to stay away, but Francis de Jeux are doing a very good job for not only Pinot but for every other favourite in the field behind. Gilbert is in front. Dan Martin is in this group of about 30 odd, almost 40 riders still left in this race. Tim Wellens still involved towards the front. So the tactics are being played by some of the teams. AG2R, BMC, Quick Step Floors and Astana. So they're pushing as hard as they can, and they've every right to do so because they want to keep the pressure on the group behind, because they know that each one of these riders has got a strong teammate behind in the group of 40. It's amazing, isn't it? These boys have they pushed on here. It's a proper fighting force. It was down to around 23 seconds, bounced out to 28. There's a rise and fall to the roads here, even though this is counted as flatland. As you can see, they are the old pack horse routes that between the borders of Switzerland and Italy and the various cantons of both nations, which used to exist a couple of 100 years ago before Mr. Garibaldi formed Italy, and Switzerland got itself as a collection of cantons, as we have mentioned, as a separate nation in its own right. So you're looking at the front of the race. We're coming down to one of the legs of the Great Lake here, Lake Como. Honeymooned here myself, and it is just beautiful. And on days like this, it kind of just almost makes you take a gulp. It's so bewitching. It's absolutely beautiful. I can recommend it to anybody. If I had to say, go to Varenna take a walk down on the lakeside. There's a little cafe down there, and indeed they've got 2 apartments. It's very reasonable, and you get some spectacular views. I'll let you dwell on them as we concentrate on the racing. Interesting to see Orica Scott here. Adam Yates is in fabulous form. Jack Haig as well will feel very much up for this. The Aussies have the longest of all seasons, starting off with the Tour Down Under. It seems that they're undiminished, or in fact any of those from the Antipodes down below. But Jack Haig is a bet today, and Adam Yates very much. Oh, official statement coming in. Laurens de Plus statement just arriving now. He has no serious injuries, and he's on his way to hospital for precautionary checks. That, Brian, is a relief to everyone. That looked as though it could have been, well, it could have been extremely dramatic, but good to know that Laurens de Plus has suffered no serious injuries despite the drama of the accident.
Yeah, 3 minutes ago, the Quick-Step cycling team just announced on their social media, on Twitter, we just talked with Laurens de Plus, who fortunately has no serious injuries after that earlier crash and is on his way to hospital.
So, bad news, he's out of the race, but good news, it's no serious injuries. So we're just hoping cuts and bruises and he will be all right. There was a report that 4 doctors had stopped to attend him. I think that's possibly just because they happened to be in the locale, quite clearly. Nonetheless, 33 seconds then, we can get back and focus on the racing, and the main focus at the moment is Francis Tijoux.
Yeah, they're doing a very good job, but they're doing a very good job for everybody else. A lot of favourites still in this race, but you know, you have to just concentrate on what you're doing, and you know, we can see the road rearing up in front of the riders. It kind of drags up. Here, there's still 4 riders with a 34-second advantage. I'm not too sure it'll be enough, but Francis Tijoux not only dragging Pinot to the bottom of this climb, but also aiding everybody else in this group behind.
20 to go, 34 seconds these guys have got. It's possible that our winner may well come from this group. They're hoving in here on Alessandro De Marchi, but giving you the data on Philippe Gilbert. Of course, he used to ride for BMC, so maybe that explains the confusion, Brian. What can you gain from data such as this, apart from a little bit of entertainment, I guess?
Well, you look at his power. He's trying hard at the moment, you know, almost 450 watts, so he knows he's in a race for sure. He's at the bottom of the climb, and I'm sure that you know, anybody deep into this race have ridden almost 230 kilometres, pushing the watts out that he is at the moment. That Philippe Gilbert is trying hard.
Well, Mollard dug deep. This is clearly all for Thibaut Pinot and Francis Tijoux here today. He's been close on the podium in 2015, and this doesn't look terrific, I'm afraid, back here. Dan Martin, we were asking about fatigue and how it starts to bite you, and at moments such as this, it's clear it's biting a few. There's Jan Polans also going backwards here in the good company of Fortunio as part of the breakaway earlier on today. And then we hove into the back of this group, and we see Mr. Roglic, who gave so much earlier on. This is a punishing pace that's being set here and finally starting to show their hands. You are seeing Cannondale, and Rigoberto Urán is there just embedded halfway down this group of talent. Vincenzo Nibali will be the man he's keeping tabs on. Don't discount Nero Quintana, who's a rarity on this race. It's been quite a few years since he showed up for this one. But having a heavily loaded top to the season, where he decided to try and do the Giro and Tour double, didn't work out for him on either count. I think he's going to try and rescue something for himself and the Movistar team, who've had a bad old time of things. And what with Valverde and the like getting injured out. We'll see how he goes today. Urán looked strong the other day. Can he repeat the feat and grab himself one of these great classics?
Well, he came close last year, and we'll have to kind of wait and see. Cherel now being picked up from the front of the peloton. Roulet Mollard setting a good strong pace here, and he'll go as far into this climb as possible. It's 4.2 kilometres in length. It averages 9.7 with 14% maximum, so it's a difficult climb, and Mollard will try and ride as hard as he can into this climb. and by the look of things, Pinot will go on the attack on this climb.
Well, Stephen Kruijswijk also looking lackluster for Lotto Jumbo in the yellow and black. And here we are, 13 seconds only with Philippe Gilbert in the blue. Just ahead of Demarchi, former teammate from BMC, and Pello Bilbao just at the back. But Francis Dejeur's relentless pace is starting to eat in. And it shelled out a lot of big names who, had they been able to match the pace or at least stay with it, Brian, would have had an option, of which within that group we include Dan Martin.
Yeah, really Mollard doing a terrific job for his leader Pinot, just kind of waiting how far he can get up this climb. Demarchi pushing on hard, Gilbert on a reasonably good day, Bilbao kind of hanging in there. And just coming round the corner now, Mollard doing a terrific job. Pinot obviously wanting to stretch things out, and doing a very good job at that, putting a lot of riders in out the back of the main peloton. But I think an attack is certain from Pinot. He wants to shake a lot of riders out, and Francis Dejeur taking it on from the front.
They're up the Civiglio at the moment, and it maxes at 14% just before the top. In fact, we've had a couple of ramps that looked a little bit like that. In fact, we will be the next kicker, I think, is the most difficult. 19.3, that's if the ticker is correct, of course. We'll get to the top with 17 to go. Then it's downhill. The downhills here, Brian, they're quite tight. We take quite an altitude drop in very, very short order as we head back to Lakeside.
Yeah, it's a difficult running. Many riders will know this from a couple of years ago when Nibali won it, but Mollard still at the front of the peloton, Pinot in second place, Viella of Cannondale also towards the front, and then we've got Nibali, Quintana doing a very good job today. Wouldn't have expected him to be here after such a kind of difficult season, but he is still in with a chance. But how far can Mollard go up this climb? And then you've got so many riders just sitting behind. Haig is in there for Orica Scott. I think Kreuziger is kind of hanging at the back. They still have got Adam Yates. Pozzovivo is here. Sam Oman, Oran just on the right hand side. So many riders just sitting and waiting and kind of anticipating when Thibaut Pinot is going to make his move.
I thought that Julien Philippe the other day was starting to look a little bit fatigued. There goes Adam Yates, runner-up, of course, in Milan-Turin. Not able to repeat the feat today. He went very, very deep to try and catch Rigoberto Urán, and went on to take that. Where's number one, because the team Orica Scott with Chavez won it last time by, but of course Chavez damaged a shoulder, and so I'm afraid no return for him. So hence Adam Yates with the number one. This is interesting. Quintana looks to be marking out just about everybody. This is the roll of the dice for AG Tour Le Mondial. Knowing that a lot of riders are suffering, this is a big chance.
Yeah, Mollard done his job, and it was actually Alexis Villermoz that went on the attack for AG2R. They had Chirel in front all day, and this has kind of opened things up. So it was Villermoz that went on the attack. Quintana followed, so did Viella of Cannondale in the green, and Nibali, but nobody going over the top, nobody taking the kind of bull by the horns, as they say. But unfortunately for Adam Yates, he's kind of hanging on a little bit at the back.
He is just getting back in. That's Diego Rosa a couple ahead of him, and they've decided that time then to mix up. And Moscon, you know, he's had a lot of criticism of late. He's been accused of all kinds of things. Can't quite see who's going after him. I imagine it's Barguil. We'll see if he manages in a few moments' time. Gianni Moscon, a great reaction, I think, to the circumstances which have been hanging over him at the moment. Lots of question marks, and this is the best way to answer it. Just get on and do your thing.
Well, the problem is so many of the strong contenders are kind of looking at each other at the moment. So this is the perfect time to go on the attack, and he's gone for it and taking one of the young riders from Sunweb with him, and Sam Oman, who's been showing some terrific form. But Thibaut Pinot has been forced into doing something.
Yeah, has to be. Can't see any reaction at the moment, not from Quintana, certainly not from Oran, just for the time being. They started to spread out. Wellens looks like he's thinking about going for it. Sebastian Reichenbach hit the deck and broke his elbow, I beg your pardon, which requires surgery, and accused Gianni Moscon of bringing him down. Moscon denied all knowledge of it, and it's apparently there's going to be a court case. So that's what we were alluding to with Gianni Moscon. He's saying, I'm I am completely innocent, and away he has gone. Omen with Pinot. Is it just trying to get onto the back of him? 18.2. Surely alarm bells will ring here, because there's a descent which almost bounces into our final test, which will be peaking about 5.4 kilometres to go.
Nibali starting to go on Oran, straight on the wheel, so they passed Demarque. Viella trying to hang on as well. Here comes Nairo Quintana, but yeah, alarm bells are ringing off, because the thing is, with Thibaut Pinot going on the attack, you can remember the Trevally Varecine, when it was Thibaut Pinot that kind of chased down Nibali in the end. So they've come straight up to the wheel of Moscon and Uman, so it's all kind of kicking off. The top of this climb comes with 16.8 to go, so there's just over a kilometre to go to the top.
To my mind, if it's going to end in a sprint, this will be a great one for the likes of Rigoberto Urán. We've seen him deny Warren Barguil in that spectacular sprint push in the Tour de France. Can he possibly do it again? 17.9 kilometres to go, so 900 metres from the top thereabouts. Alaphilippe also very much involved, part of a lead-out train. In fact, just getting towards the back here, part of a lead-out train for the designated sprinters within Quick-Step floors, but Alaphilippe could go quickly when he needs to. Some big names getting caught out here. Rosa looks very second-hand at the back. That's Jack Haig starting to struggle by the wall as well, and they're bouncing. Omen does his respective job. This is as well Wilco Kelderman back with Aru here. Doesn't look like it's going to be Aru's day. Could well be this man. Can Pinot deliver? Checks over his shoulder. Quintana looks very, very cool. And in fact, Vincenzo Nibali looks over as if to sort of goad him into action at the moment. Nibali concerned that he is lent on to do much of the work. It's a burden that the favourites have.
Yeah, this is why Franck said that you were riding so hard to bring the breakaway back before this climb, and they've done a very good job. Mollard was the last rider there to go into this climb, and Pinot was going to go on the attack. It's just a matter of when. Pozzovivo has come to the front for AJ Tuan. I just think that Nibali knows that Thibaut Pinot is on some really good form, but is measuring his effort. He's just sitting there towards the front. Urán is there, Bernal, Nairo Quintana, many of the strong contenders this race still in with a shout. Still 17.5 kilometres to go, but you cannot really let this man go.
Nibali on the front with Quintana tracing him. There is Urán. This is a great selection right now, as you can see. Interesting to see Domenico Pozzovivo, who's got a bit of turn of pace about him as well when he needs it. Just sailing around the headland here. Michael Nieve with Aru in a group that looks like it's suffering. Tim Wellens also looking like he is doing likewise. Nibali goes to one side of the road, has a look at Pinot, responds by the wall. Moscon still not out of this as well, the youngster. Remember when he was allowed to sprint on a lumpy finish. Good to see Egan Bernal of Androni Zydemek up towards the front. One of the smaller teams here, but in elevated status in this race. Can Pinot get over the top? Well, he's certainly going to do that, but can he bring it home? It looks like he's intent on doing it on his own, just hiding by the wall at the moment. Fans on the wrong side of the road. Part of the road surface that would frankly welcome some of these riders. Pozzovivo is the man that's in no man's land at the moment, just trying to bridge over to this man, the Frenchman, Pinot. Well, can he possibly? I think it's a tall order, to be honest, at this stage, but they went early by design, Brian. This was their plan.
I think this is a good shout for Thibaut Pinot. I think a lot of riders, I think every rider in our picture now is starting to really suffer in this race. This is a hard climb deep into the front. And the thing is, Thibaut Pinot, when he looks behind, he's got Pozzovivo trying to come across to him. But the problem everybody has, there's not many teammates left. And if the favourites before this day want to win this race, they have to combine together. And that's a big thing when you get deep into a race. Are you going to ride with one of your rivals?
Nibali's got on the chase. He's at the side of the wall as well. Interesting. Straight to Pozzovivo. Sails straight round him on full attack. Vincenzo Nibali starting off as the shortest odds on the day. And acting like it as well. He's on stellar form at the moment. He's won this race, indeed, on this kind of profile in Como 2 years ago. And right now, he's inviting himself to the party. And there's Not many tickets to ride, I'm afraid, and he's taken one. Here is Pinot, the pair of them. Well, they could duke this out, but how long will they want to stay together? Nibali and Pinot, they stuck together in Milan-Turin, of course. There it was, Nibali leading with Pinot on his wheel, reaches over, cheeky take that, and as soon as the door opens, straight into it, inviting himself to the party, is Vincenzo Nibali. Increasing the pace. If they get over the top right now, and in fact they're just on it as the descent will start, you can assume that they're going to hit the foot of the final climb together as well. This is fascinating, Brian.
Yeah, we were here on Tuesday in Tre Varesine when the two riders attacked in the last few kilometres. Uran is in the group behind, but this is a very tricky descent and they'll have to be very aware. But not many people with teammates at the front of this race now, and you know, two of the strongest riders are starting to edge a little bit closer to the finishing line in Como now.
We need to see the gap, but it's Nibali and Pinot at the moment through these little private garden roads, as you can see, as they're called. They grow perfume flowers here. There used to be an industry. Nonetheless, these guys smell blood, and away they go into this very technical descent right now. And in fact, as you can see, the incline was written large for you there by the RCS, the organisers, just to warn them that this is very focused. At least you'll get into a privet hedge if you get it wrong. Here we go then. Nibali, fabulous descender with Pinot. Not bad himself, but not as good as Nibali. I think they'll probably want each other's company and then duke it out later on. If it's two up sprint, who are you going for?
Well, when we look at Tre Varesine, there wasn't much between the two of them on Tuesday, and Pinot had the edge on Nibali, and I think that Nibali will know that. Okay, Geniez won that and he finished second and third, but I think Nibali will want to try and distance Pinot definitely. If he can't distance him on the descent, he'll try something on the next climb.
This is going to be absolutely fascinating. We don't unfortunately have a gap back to the chasers, and I'm assuming that's being led by Rigoberto Urán. Motorcycle making a nuisance of itself, getting in the wrong side of the corner. Needs to give these guys some respect. All respect at the moment for Vincenzo Nibali. Look at the battle that's raging here between these two. 15 kilometres to go, Banner. They just sail under that. Shock into the sunshine right now. And Pinot is staying with Nibali. Little slow motion shot of Pinot just getting a little bit wide, but it slung-shot him. He stayed on the bike. It slung-shot him straight back onto the rear wheel of Vincenzo Nibali, who can't shake him off. And that's the idea now, Brian.
Yeah, we start climbing again with 8 kilometres to go, so 6.5 kilometres. This is the chasing group, including Pozzovivo, Bilbao and Moscon.
Big wide corner and a double check. Nibali went through very, very fast, kissed the barriers almost, and Pinot gave it more respect. The bigger man, so I guess a longer line through. Let's see how he spat out the corner. You can't follow the other man's lines because of the geometry of the bikes and also different body weights. But nonetheless, they're stuck together at the moment, almost on a tow rope. It has stretched ever so slightly to the advantage of Vincenzo Nibali. Big right-hand corner, left-hand corner coming up, as was indicated on. And here is Urán. Well, we said he would be the most likely to push on, and that's exactly what he's doing. He can time trial. He can also sprint, as he's shown. He's got a Tour de France victory under his belt, stage-wise. Runner-up this year in the Grand Boucle. Can he bridge to these guys? I think he probably can. And if it's a trio between the three of them, then bet on Urán. 13.5 to go.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, Nibali was in the same situation, didn't have much of an advantage, but he was on his own. Now this year he's got Thibaut Pinot for company, and Nibali's pushing hard in his descent. He keeps on looking round to see where Pinot is. He knows that he's the better descender of both of them, and he knows that Thibaut Pinot, if it comes to a sprint finish, is probably the better of the finishers. They both look fairly equal on the climbs, and we've only got one climb to come, and it comes with in 5 kilometres time.
That was interesting. Vincenzo Nibali goes into the corner and he checks up and then goes into the corner. He knows Pinot's watching him, and it was almost like a false, almost a feint, if you like. He's sort of saying, oh, this is a bit scary, and then sailed round the corner beautifully, and Pinot dabbed the brakes and the gap expanded. Absolutely brilliant work. Mind games being played here in the descent by Vincenzo Nibali, loving it.
Yeah, he wants to distance and keep the pressure on Thibaut Pinot. He knows that he wants to try and come to the finish together and try and guarantee the win. He is the favourite coming into this race, and he's using all his experience and skill to try and distance Pinot, and with one climb to go, it's still an opportunity here for Thibaut Pinot to come back to him, but the gap is slightly opening now.
Yeah, it is, and it's because of the descending skills of Vincenzo Nibali. Here he is, hangs a leg. He'll do that, he'll do anything he possibly can to just counterbalance the corner and the bike, keep it all in control and deliver, but can he? This is spectacular. Bunny hopping over the sleeping policeman there. A jump to get on, a jump to get off, keeping the bike sailing and singing at the moment. And quite frankly, the gap is expanding. There is Pinot, and I think he's probably going to be in the sights before you know it, of Rigoberto Urán, who's on his case. Now, let's have a look. This is the bunny hop up. Nice landing, like a cat onto a table, and off again. Beautiful. Here's Urán.
Yeah, Urán is trying to send down. They've got only a few seconds on a group behind, containing about 8 or 10 riders, but Nibali just throwing caution to the wind, and he knows that he has to put Thibaut Pinot under pressure. He doesn't have a lot. He swings onto the main road again, and in 3 kilometres time they'll be starting to head up the final climb. Well,
a wobbly entry, but a powerful exit as well for Thibaut Pinot. He means business today, and Vincenzo Nibali, I think, is more than aware of that. Just look at the line that Nibali's taking. He couldn't get tighter to the to those metal fencing here as he heads for the next climb. This peaks out with 5.4 kilometres to go. 10.6 remain of today. Fascinating.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I just hope that the motorbikes don't have a say in this outcome and they stay out the way of Nibali. But you can just see here Thibaut Pinot. I think he will come back, saying 6 seconds. It'll be interesting to see what the gap is back to the group behind, including Urán.
Yeah, indeed. No time check on Urán at the moment. If a motorcycle does get close to you in the rear, by the way, there is a bow wave effect. It pushes the air in front, and at the moment it's far from Nibali being assisted. Not that it's unheard of in certain parts of the world, and indeed Nibali himself has taken some untoward assistance in the past, as I'm sure you know. 10 kilometres then from home, says 9.9, and here is Thibaut Pinot, just has a little toot, more than that. In fact, deals with the camera behind him. I think he'd probably prefer the camera to be right behind him for the aforementioned reason. 7 seconds then with 9.6 kilometres to go, and here comes Urán. It's a reasonable gap. Still haven't got a time check on it though.
No, not at all. It'll be interesting to see what the time gap is on this onto Urán, but all 3 front riders are on their own. Nibali just in front there, Thibaut Pinot, the Frenchman, and Urán not far behind. But I think back to Urán could be maybe about 20-25 seconds now. But there's another group just behind. I think it's a
little bit more than that. This 10k barrier seemed an age ago they went under it, Brian.
Yeah, I think about 25 seconds back to this group, and Urán's just about to be caught. So now it's time. Like we were saying before, there's nobody with any teammates here. So Moscon now decides to push and joins Urán in front. So there's no teammates to help each other. So if these riders who are already suffering want to try and win this race today, they have to combine together to try and bring back in Nibali.
Yeah, they do. Pinot's the best man for it at the moment, but even he is starting to be distanced. It went from 6 to 7. It's now at 9 seconds the gap. Nibali's essentially time trialling up this next incline. If he can get to the top of it, he'll be there in about 3 kilometres time. Then it's a drag more than anything. It does have a little plateau within it before the last kick. The nastiest part of it, by the way, is just before the top. It's about 10%. But that's nothing for this man. He's capable of taking that, and it's gone out to Pinot to 10 seconds. My goodness, they're going for an art shot. It's almost celebratory right now. The Italian press will be going suitably nuts. This could be another fabulous performance. It was almost like the arm there, it was a super slow-mo. It was almost like he was giving a message that he's just got to keep his tempo going. 9 seconds, a tenuous lead, but one he's delivered in the past, Brian.
He certainly has, but still not over yet. We hit the bottom of the final climb now, and this climb goes up to 5.4 to go, so 2.6 kilometres in length, and as you rightly said, 10% at the top, but 9 seconds is going to be touching distance in this climb, and it's not all over for Thibaut Pinot yet.
No, it's not, but I think it may well be for Moscon and Uran, unless something spectacular happens. 46 seconds back on Nibali, of course. 37, I beg your pardon, back to Pinot. Well, it's starting to break down here, and others are starting to reach out, but it's all too late.
That's the problem you've got. You've got all individual riders in different teams, and they're not combining together. The only way they're going to try and win this race is they combine together, and they don't want to do that. So does it look as if the riders behind us, it could be all over for them, and they're fighting for third place?
11 seconds now. And this is an expanding gap, and this potentially is going to be heartbreak for Thibaut Pinot. An extra step forward from his last finish in 2015 when he finished third to the winner, Vincenzo Nibali. Is not going to feel like sufficient, I'm afraid, for the effort he's put in. He's a man who was thinking of ending his season, of course, after La Vuelta. Well, he's ridden on and has kind of got a taste for it. Likewise, I've got to say, it's been a startlingly sprightly performance from Team Sky. Moscon has been extremely busy, and others like Diego Rosa
starting to push
same.
out. He has to try and push out because he's got Moscon there, and we're just speculating about who's got any teammates to start riding. And it was Diego Rosa that's having to come to the front. That says that Diego Rosa was suffering at the back of this climb. He get back on and decided to attack straight away.
Is that Luis Leon Sanchez has also decided to dig in? Not quite sure. We'll check on that in a moment. 17 seconds then with Nibali distancing Pinot, and this is an expanding gap. And the longer this goes on, frankly, I think that Vincenzo Nibali has broken the heart of Pinot, who's out of the saddle and back into it, not looking comfortable. 18 seconds now. And in fact, on this zigzag, it's almost like a Zorro cut, isn't it? Being imposed by Vincenzo Nibali, who's going to go over the top here with more than 20 seconds of an advantage, I imagine. Holding at 19, and there it is. We kiss 20 right now. He's powering into the incline, and he's capable of delivering from 6.9 Ks out. It's a descent into town, and it'll suit him just fine, Brian.
I think the telltale sign came when Thibaut Pinot came into the first left-hand hairpin, and you look behind, and I think you're only going to do that if you're worried about your position in the road, and if you're going to be able to hang on for second place. So it does look as if Thibaut Pinot is trying to hang on for second place here.
Luis Leon Sanchez in the frame with Pozzovivo. You saw Alaphilippe as well, who's still looking lively, but it's all for minor places. It might well be even more minor places than second place for Thibaut Pinot. I think he's possibly good enough to hang on for it, but 23 now to Vincenzo Nibali, who is not that far away, and Domenico Pozzovivo pushes on right now. Quintana with Luis Leon Sanchez. Quintana just shows his nose. Alaphilippe's there as well as Bernal from Androni in the red. A lot of suffering. Rosa going backwards as well right now as the pace is picked up, and Pozzovivo wants to come and join the party, and there's Uran. I'm afraid done for him, but he had his win in Milan-Turin, and clearly that took something from him.
Yeah, I think the chasing as well. He went into the reds. He was caught on the before the final climb here, and this is a difficult final climb. You can just see this group is breaking up quite considerably. But I tell you what, Quintana's doing a very good ride today. But Alaphilippe is still in there. He's coming good. He went too early in Milano-Torino, but he's saved, and now he's with Pozzovivo and Quintana. And if he can hang on to these riders, then he could possibly be getting on the podium.
Well, they're back at 49 seconds adrift of this man, and that's more than enough advantage for him to deliver. Thibaut Pinot at 28 seconds now. I think he's going to fall into the clutches of a reinvigorated peloton. But this is showboat stuff from Nibali, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he was showboating on the Saviglio climb, just waiting. And when Thibaut Pinot went on the attack, he shot across to him, and he baited him on the descent. He was pushing, and he knew he wanted to try and get rid of Thibaut Pinot, and did a very good job.
Aru's back in the house. That's nice to see. He's managed to recover. There is the Italian Tricolore, and he gets back to this group only just by the skin of his teeth, I think you might say. And in fact, more than that, pushes on by the wall here. Brave performance by by Aru, but we've seen a few of this. We've seen some of this in the past. From Fabio, and frankly, it can flutter out almost as quickly as it reveals itself. Let's see. It's been a brave effort for him to stay with it today, because he clearly looked like he was suffering earlier on, and he's proving that he's going to ride with pride the last races of this season in the national colours of Italy. On the move apparently from Astana. And so we'll see, maybe the last race that he'll represent that team. The word is that he's going to Emirates. This man is going to the top. Over the top of this one, he'll be there before you know, about 200 metres to go. Does flatten out. He's dealt with the steepest of the inclines. 37 seconds back to Pinot, who I think now believes that he is just going to be one of the also-rans. Those that are riding just behind Pinot at the moment, clearly thinking about podium positions. I think that's about the best of it, because this man is the best of the rest. The best of everybody, I should say.
Yeah, he is. And, you know, I thought Pinot, if he'd only stayed with him, but looking at this performance now, I think Nibali would have shed him on this climb. He just looked the strongest. But I tell you what, Pinot could come out of this day without even a podium place. I
think so, and Alaphilippe would like to be best placed Frenchman at the very worst. He's got a real kick on him. You can see that right now. Fabius, the sort of showman performer, sort of picking up in terms of the hearts of the fans, where the likes of Tommy Voeckler left off. But he's got more in the locker than Voeckler ever had, I think. And Alaphilippe is on a push right now. No disrespect to Tommy V, one of my favourite riders, but here is Vincenzo Nibali, and 38 seconds on Pinot, is about to be caught by Alaphilippe. And it's clicking down. That's the 5 to go banner. That'll be welcome. He's been here before. He's won it before, and I think he's going to win it again. What can Alaphilippe do? He's going to charge into the void here, sail straight round Pinot, and then invest in the remainder of the day. He looks like he's at war, and that's precisely what he is. Goes around Pinot, does he? Back down the saddle, plonks down. Aru, great performance by him as well to have refound himself. It happens to riders occasionally, Brian, where the strength comes back to you late. It can almost surprise the rider himself.
I think Aru's battle plan was to try and stay with the main group until this final climb, and then try and salvage something out of it. He's coming back to form. He knew maybe he didn't have the same form as Nibali. Nibali came into this race as favourite, and he's going to come out as a winner this year, and on the same course that he won in 2015, a couple of years ago. But Alaphilippe riding strongly here. Thibaut Pinot, what might have been his team have ridden well for him, but it's still a battle now for second and third.
Yeah, I'm afraid, but that's all it's going to be, because Vincenzo Nibali, with 4 kilometres to go, has got such a handsome margin. And I'm not suggesting he's already celebrating, but frankly, the approach that he has remaining here is not overly technical. Although he hexagons the curve, he's taking nothing for granted. But he's at peace with himself, I'm sure, at a moment such as this. Gets on the blower, has a quick word, possibly just saying gap. What's the gap? And it's Alaphilippe that's nearest man to him at the moment with 3.5 to go.
Yeah, he's pushing on as hard as he can, because he still believes that he stands a chance of trying to win this race. That's his motivation. You know, giving absolutely everything in this descent. But Nibali, as we've said before, he's been here. He knows what he has to do, and it doesn't look as if he's going to. I'm not saying run away with this win, but he's had a lot of help from François de Jeux in the leg side when François de Jeux took it on, because that was an interesting tactic from some of the other teams when the 4 riders went off the front, including Philippe Gilbert.
Philippe Gilbert powering into the descent, 37 seconds. He's not going to get that back in 2.8 Ks, I'm afraid, but runners-up spot. I'm sure he would have loved to have won it, but it adds to a great palmares this year. Great season for Alaphilippe. Out front, well, Vincenzo Nibali has done so much in his career, but he's still hungry for victories. He's had some cloudy moments. Let's put it that way. In fact, got thrown off. He's been thrown off Grand Tours for hanging onto vehicles and the like. But take nothing away from him. He is just a supreme competitor. He's phenomenally popular in Italy. Wasn't always like that, Brian. He was always a bit of a dark horse, but he's been taken into the nation's hearts. And quite frankly, I don't think there's anyone more popular than Vincenzo Nibali as far as Italian cycling is concerned right now. He's in his pomp.
He certainly is, and you know, he decided not to ride Milano-Torino and concentrate in Giro di Lombardia, and that's after a very good performance in Trevari Vallecin on Tuesday. So, okay, he never won that, came away with third, but today I think he's proven that he's the strongest rider in today's race.
Yeah, and this deep into the season, I think it's the wisdom of what he did. He did the Della Emilia, raced Toscana as well, finished fourth there, second in the Giro della Emilia, and then in the Villa Varazine, I beg your pardon, finished in third place. Well, right now, in that VV race, he was locked with Thibaut Pinot. Right now, he's shaken Pinot, and indeed everyone else who rode on for Milan-Turin. They've carried fatigue into this race. And so the biggest of them all, of this little festival of Italian cycling that finishes off the season, 9 races packed into about 4 weeks. It's fabulous stuff. And Vincenzo Nibali is going to take the biggest of them all. That's clever stuff. He's a clever rider. And the Shark of Messina has taken a big bite out of absolutely everyone today, and he's almost taking the high fives, or indeed the low fives, from the crowd here as he comes round. Just hangs an arm there. I don't know whether that was a message to the motorcycles. And just look at the smiles from the camera bikes here. The right rider is winning as far as the organisers are concerned. And a right good performance it is from Alaphilippe as well, who's going to come in for a worthy second place. This is a no-hassle cruise in for this man. And look at that, he's stirring on the crowds. 300 metres to go. He's allowing himself to bare his teeth. Not like a shark, but like a Cheshire cat, I think it's fair to say. Vincenzo Nibali is going to deliver battle plan par excellence. He's on the radio thanking the team. What a great day this is for Vincenzo Nibali. He's done it so many times before, and you know what? He's just gone and done it again. Vincenzo takes it. Alaphilippe, the clock ticking down on him. Let's see how close he got. Factor in the celebrations, of course, for Vincenzo Nibali. Brave effort, a very brave push as well by Alaphilippe, who's had a great season. He's on the blower to thank everybody. Quintana just snaking on the road. As you can see, it's going to be Pozzovivo, I think, out of this group. He goes centre of the road, the little guy. Moscon also wants a piece of this by the looks of things, using a magnifying glass almost at the moment. But it's minor places, I'm afraid, for these guys. Here we are, some complaints late on. What would it be if it wasn't, if an Italian race had no complaints by the end of it? Another gap to a group of 5 riders who complete the day. The race of the falling leaves rarely disappoints. And you could say the same for Vincenzo Nibali. Fabulous rider, and indeed he deserves the kisses, the flowers, and indeed the fizzy stuff, which you'll get in a few moments' time. Great ride.
Strong ride, very strong ride by Nibali, and showed he was the strongest rider in the race today. Another bit of a controversial sprint with Moscon and Wieland was there.
Well, the cycling's not over, we remind you. We race on indeed tomorrow with Paris Tour, and look forward to your company for that. We're just going to take ourselves a commercial break. We'll be back and hopefully have a chat to Vincenzo Nibali after this. Welcome back. Vincenzo Nibali delivers again. He won this in 2015, and he's gone and done it again at the same finish point. Familiarity breeds content? Absolutely not. He's happy about that, Brian, and no surprise.
Yeah, it was a majestic performance, and something we were kind of waiting for, and he delivered in the end. And you know, he's more than happy to win his, you know, Italian monument for the second time, as you mentioned. Same course in 2015, he won at the end. So we had plenty of action today, and plenty of riders really kind of suffered in the end. It was just on the descent of the penultimate climb that Thibaut Pinot just couldn't stay with him.
Well, it was a busy old day. It's a long race, this one. And of course it has its monument status for very, very good reasons. 247 kilometers in total. And Vincenzo Nibali, master of them all. Signing on for duty, it was a glorious day from the